Hey everyone, and Tony here with a tribute video to Rugrats, aka one of the three original Nicktoons from 1991. Yeah, I did forget to mention that, but Rugrats, aside from Doug and Ren and Stimpy, were the three founding fathers to what the Nicktoons would end up to be. With Doug, it was mainly a slice of life Nicktoon that was a trendsetter for the likes of Hey Arnold and Is Told by Ginger. With Ren and Stimpy, it was a founding father to the likes of Rocco's Modern Life and even to SpongeBob SquarePants, not to mention it did take its cues from the original Looney Tunes. And on top of that, Doug was also taking cues from the likes of Wonder Years as well. With Rugrats, this was actually a very unique Nicktoon since, well, what made this Nicktoon very unique was the fact that there were talking babies that, well, saw the world in their own imagination and in their own mindset, which made this show pretty much a founding father for what Nicktoons will end up being. Creative, funny, original, and just a lot of fun. And Rugrats really did that for me. As I said before, Rugrats, well, was introduced to me in the form of a video game which was called In Search of Reptar. You can look at the look back video that I've done a few moments ago. But I'd like to reiterate, and I know that I've been reiterating this since forever, but yeah, In Search of Reptar was pretty much my exposure to the Rugrats. That and also the Rugrats movie. It wasn't until that I started watching the show in its entirety and I got really, really hooked. It was really charming in its execution, and it was also thanks to a lot of the strong vocal performances by such veteran voice actors and voice actresses with the likes of, well, Elizabeth Daily or E.G. Daily, Christine Cavanaugh, Cheryl Chase, Kath Soucie, Tress MacNeille, Pamela Adlon, Mary Kay Bergman, Greta Lyle, Jennifer Hale, Melanie Chardoff, Jack Riley, David Doyle, and then Joe Alasky, Michael Bell. I mean, you had a strong cast of voice actors and voice actresses. Some of them are even like live action actors and actresses that have only made like small chances in terms of the voice acting world, but overall, you could really see just how strong this cast of voice actors, this cast of voice actors really was at the time. And it was just a huge blast for me, and it was really enjoyable, especially as I kept watching more episodes. Did I get myself extremely interested and just extremely enthralled in the world that these babies get themselves into? Of course, Angelica was a really interesting antagonist, and what made her that great was that, of course, she uses her manipulating skills in order to like trick the babies into thinking that sometimes what the adult world represents is something is really cruel and mean and all that type of stuff. But instead, once the babies use their courage, they pretty much prove her wrong. And that's what I truly like about this show. And that's what I truly enjoy about it as well. Of course, later on, the writing quality did kind of dip, especially when it came to the fact that there was a spat between Paul Germain and Arlene Klasky about a certain episode called The Trial, and even then, with even the first three seasons, it was almost never the same, especially considering that when Dill came out as well, and even when Kimmy came out. And, well, Dill is pretty much, for some people, the scrappy of the show, and for others, sort of like a nice addition as it does develop Tommy's character, because we all know Tommy as the one who does no wrong, someone who is very pure. But when Dill came along in the mix, it kind of gave Tommy someone to work with. I mean, yes, he was also his brother, and he also has a responsibility to take care of him, and they also have the responsibility to learn from each other, which makes it all the more interesting. And of course, I mean, I'm kind of, well, okay with Dill. I'm just iffy with him as a character. Granted, there are times that he does screw up, but the moments in which he kind of shines definitely have to be in the movie and probably in some of the episodes as well. So, even the cast of characters was even fully diverse. I mean, you even have the likes of Susie Carmichael, who I definitely enjoy as well. And, well, even the one time characters in Rugrats were equally as enjoyable. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. I wish that they could have made an appearance on the Rugrats spin-off All Grown Up. They could have been like adding a little bit more flavor to the show. But even then, despite those screw-ups that Rugrats ended up getting itself into, I still felt that it was a very strong show and one that has been always remembered to this very day. And this came out way before, like I said, this was the longest running show way before SpongeBob ended up getting that title. And, well, yes, Rugrats did have an up and down journey with flubs such as Rugrats Go Wild and All Grown Up, and even some of the later seasons of Rugrats that had Dill and Kimmy. But regardless of those flubs, regardless of those failures, Rugrats is still a show I can recommend to everyone, and it's still a show that I treasure in my heart, mostly because aside from being one of the first Nicktoons of all time, this was also, in my life, the first Nicktoon that I had the chance and experience of really seeing how things really are in the baby's mind. And this made me feel, well, this made me have a warm, fuzzy feeling inside every time I go back to this show, mostly because there was a lot of clever writing, clever dialogue, and it was just fun for the entire family. And not to mention every character was fleshed out, and that's what really made this show really strong and really great in my opinion. And of course, today is Michael Bell's birthday, so here's a huge shout out to one of the voice actors of Rugrats. So, Michael Bell, if you're watching this video, I wish you a very, very happy birthday. And I would really love to thank you for voicing these two great characters, well, Drew Pickles and Chaz Finster in the show, and not to mention a myriad of other characters. But in Rugrats, I'll always remember you as Drew Pickles and Chaz Finster because I really was impressed of how versatile you are as a voice actor. I mean, managing to bring such different colors and different personas and different personalities to each of the characters that you voice. And I was completely touched with each of your performances, especially as Chaz, especially when it came to the Mother's Day episode, or especially the Rugrats in Paris episode. I was especially touched by your performance as Chaz. I could really feel the loneliness that Chaz is going through, especially when he misses Melinda. And with Drew, of course, he was also an interesting character on his own as well, and he is enjoyable from time to time. And plus, I always loved the banters that you had as Drew with your co-star Jack Riley as Stu. I thought it was just fun listening to, and I thought those were just really fun banters all around. So I definitely enjoyed your performances as Drew Pickles and Chaz Finster from this very iconic show, and not to mention a myriad of other characters. And let me just tell you that you're also one of my most beloved inspirations, well, to even be an actor, singer, and even that of a voice actor, but more so as a person because, well, you were one of my inspirations, and growing up with you was well, it was just fantastic, especially when I heard you voicing Grumpy Smurf from the Smurfs and many, many other classics. So, Michael Bell, I hope you have a very happy birthday, and thanks for all the wonderful memories that you gave me as some of these iconic characters. And with Rugrats, those were Chaz Finster and Drew Pickles. So thank you so much for all the wonderful memories. And I hope you had a very happy birthday. And I hope you have an equally wonderful day. Well, that's all for this tribute video to the Rugrats. And I definitely had a blast, well, looking back at the show and even rewatching it. Granted, there were some episodes, especially in the later seasons, that didn't really resonate with me compared to the earlier seasons, but it was very easy to say that this was definitely an enjoyable ride that I've had from start to finish. And despite the many flubs and turbulences that Rugrats experienced along the way, I'd have to say that it was still a very strong journey, and it was without a doubt one of my most favorite Nicktoons of all time, and one that has solidified itself to be one of the longest running Nicktoons. And, well, I have to say to all the people who worked on Rugrats, from Arlene Klasky to Gabor Chupo, to Paul Germain, to Joe Ansel Lohabir, and to all the voice actors, and especially to that of Michael Bell, who's celebrating his birthday today, I'd like to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for making my ride with this show a very interesting and very fun ride. I do realize that there were some turbulent moments along the way, but still, despite that, it was a very fun ride and one that I enjoy even to this very day. Well, that's all for this tribute, and tune in next time as I take a look at yet another original Nicktoon that was also released the same year as Rugrats and Doug. And that's none other than Ren and Stimpy. So until then, see you later, everybody.